Okay. Ever since we heard the news, a lot of things have been going on in my mind. A lot of years that have been all back. I first came to yeshiva over 20 years ago already. Tufshin Nun Ches, yeah. And there was Tufshin Nun Ches, 1998. El of Tufshin Nun Ches, this is the end of September 1998. I first came to yeshiva and I'm not sure who might know my personal story from upbringing, where I came from. I'm originally from Passaic, New Jersey. Passaic, New Jersey is not such a Chassidish place at all. It's a beautiful Makom Torah, but it's not a environment in Passaic. It's not a Chassidish environment that I see myself as years later. And coming to yeshiva, again, I was only 13, 14, whatever it was. I think I had turned 14 already then. I came to yeshiva, and the Gelbwachs was a good balance for me to be that. He's a Scranton boy, in Scranton. He was living in Lakewood. At that time, at least, Lakewood was much more of a yeshiva shtot than it is today. But I formed a very close relationship with him, with Gelbwachs, right away, because of the fact that I was able to kind of balance that the Litvishkeit together with the Chassidishkeit, and he had that, and I felt very close to that idea. And I think the most common thing we've been hearing over the past mamash, a little over 24 hours, that's all it's been, was how much yishturim he was going through in the past few years. We were just speaking about this Chaim before, about things were very difficult for him. There was better times, there was times when he was in the hospital, he was in ICU, he wasn't in yeshiva at all. But up until a few weeks ago, I was in yeshiva. I was in yeshiva right before Chanukah. I saw Rabbi Gelbwachs in yeshiva, and he looked very good. He looked strong. But as the reports were saying, as you saw, they were saying that with all the Yisurim, he had a Simchas HaChaim. And this is for sure, is that we can all attest to the fact that we that really is what we saw, was the Simchas HaChaim. We learn in Pekei Avos, the mission Pekei Avos teaches us that Aizu Esher Sameach B'Chelkei. Is that the only way really to score big, the way to really be able to win the world is going to be able to be, is that if you have Simchas HaChaim, if you are happy and you appreciate the life, the world that we have around us, B'Chelkei, in your own chai, like what you have, what you do. And of course, what the news was saying is exactly true. That this was Rabbi Gelbwachs, who really showed us and shared with us that Simchas HaChaim. And just I can remember just a few different things over the course of the many years that I was zeicher to be able to be a Talmud. And of course, you can relate on your own level different times, the different events that occurred that you can remember that we live with today. And I just remember that even just coming into Bismedish in the morning to daven with a certain chayshik, you see he was always walking with like an extra jump. He had a geschmackheit to live life and to be able to to be Oved Hashem, to be able to be Mekadeshim Shemayim. That was his whole spirit, that was his whole life. You could see it was just his whole face lit up when he appreciated to know the position that he's in his chaylik, b'chelkoi. And I think it's also very appropriate to be able to at least say here, right here in this Besmerish, that I have had this chis of being able to be here for already a number of years. It's a little over 4 years, about 4.5 years. I'm right here in this room, and there's been many tikifas here that I've had. But so much of the zechisim that I've been able to bring to right here, into this room, to this table, to this Besmerish, goes directly to those old days when I was a young boy sitting in first in our Chadash and our Talmud, and now these days, in the past recent years, yeshiva's changed to Noyam HaTorah. And once again, I think the greatest thing we can be able to learn and to be able to continue living with is that idea of Takav Simchas HaChaim, but also to be able to know that there's a future. There's a future for Klal Yisrael, there's a future for Talmidim, there's a future for the limudim of Torah, the hard work, the interest to be able to just continue growing and to continue going and to being able to continue the future of Klal Yisrael is something that I see in my own little way. I saw coming as a Talmud of Yeshiva and taking the gadlus that all the Rabbeim, the Yeshivas together, the whole Yeshiva, the whole idea of the Yeshiva, and to be able to take it in my future. And I think that the stage where we're here now, Talmidim, former Talmidim of Yeshiva back in the States, we're holding now here at a Kifa in our life. We're here in Eretz Yisrael, and we're continuing to be able to plan out our future before we walk down to the Chippah, Metz Hashem, one day, the Korav Mamish, is that this is the goal, this is the key, this is the idea of being able to work out our Chayim. Work out our Chayim. Yes, we're speaking about a Simchas HaChaim, but we have to have Chaim in order to be able to have Simchas HaChaim, and that's what we're doing. And I think that everything together, that's really why I feel so strong, and that's why I started speaking when I was saying how there's so many things in my mind ever since we were hearing the news. Is that because so much of every aspect of what we do here, and every day I keep on thinking of doing so much more and so much more, and it's all the whole main place where it all is coming from. It's coming from those days when I was in yeshiva as a young boy. I'm going to be Messiah. I know we have to go. It's getting late. But there's a Dvar Torah that I said over Parshas Eikiv during the summer months. We know that Yeshiva's name was Yosef Yispa Aaron. Many of us had his name in mind the past few years, saying Tehillim for his name. In Parshas Eikiv, we speak about Aaron HaKohen, the Misa from Aaron HaKohen. And the name Aaron that the Yeshiva carried, when the Torah speaks about the death of Aaron, it's brought down together with the episode of the breaking of the Lichas. The breaking of the Lichas, says the Medrash, is that the reason why the breaking of the Lichas and the Misa of Aaron HaKohen are put together, it's because that when we lose a tzaddik in the world, there's a certain devastation that's left within Klal Yisrael and within the living people of the world. And when the lichos were broken, they saw that the level of Klal Yisrael was at a very low level. And Klal Yisrael wasn't really enough to be able to keep the lichos, and therefore it ended up getting broken. So when we lose a tzaddik in the world, there's a certain degradation of level that Klal Yisrael is up to at the time. Whether people are not worthy of it, or whether it's be certain ways of our life that are not befitting and proper enough to be able to have the tzaddikim, the gedolei hador, living amongst the living. There's a certain devalue, the value of Klal Yisrael has fallen. But the only way to be able to bring it up, and the only way to be able to turn it around, we have to realize that not just the Gedolim and our Rabbeim in the previous Deiros, it's not so much that it's not so much that we're relying on the Gedolim, it's really Faket, it's really the Gedolim are really relying on us. And the question is where we're holding, and the question is how much we're able to keep up the ruchnius level of the world and the godless of the world. That's really up to us, and to really know what we can do about it. So at this time, when we're dealing with the after effects of a loss of a Rebbe, of a Gadol, we have to look at ourselves to see where we're holding and how much we needed to be able to do in the future, and how much more we have to work and to be able to accomplish, to be able to get up to the proper place and the proper level and the zechisim, to be able to meet Hashem one day, to be able to have the Gedolim back with us, with Tchias HaMesim and the Lichos, and together with the Beis HaMikdash HaShlishi v'Maharev Yemani U'Mani.